Coming up, curing the opioid crisis, Chris Christie is tapped to lead the fight against addiction in America. The latest as the epidemic reaches new heights. We'll take a look next.
She's getting what she deserves. No one said that. No one said that about someone who had cancer. Yet somehow, if it's heroin or cocaine or alcohol, we say, well, they decided they're getting what they deserved. I'm pro-life. And I think that if you're pro-life, that means you got to be pro-life for the whole life, not just for the 9 months they're in the womb. The 16-year-old teenage girl on the floor of the county lockup, addicted to heroin, I'm pro-life for her, too.
That was a powerful speech. It was New Jersey Governor Chris Christie on the presidential campaign trail, remember, talking in personal terms about the way that the country treats addiction in America. President Trump is now tapping Chris Christie to chair a commission devoted to combating the nation's opioid epidemic, and it is an epidemic. In 2015, more than 52,000 Americans died of drug overdoses, nearly two-thirds of which were linked to opioids. Joining us right now is BioCorrect's founder and CEO, Brady Grenier. The company has developed a unique tool to deliver naltrexone, a drug that helps treat addiction by blocking the cravings that addicts experience. Brady, it's good to have you on the program. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. Characterize the problem.
Well, that'll take more time than we have today, but it's a massive problem. There's a few reasons for it. There's a huge influx of black tar heroin from the southern border right now, which is adding to the problem. There was a big pain movement a few years ago, and doctors were overprescribing to treat pain as a sixth vital sign, and that's been pulled back, and restrictions are being placed on opioid prescriptions, and now it's driving people to the cheaper street heroin.
So what does this drug do? Naltrexone? Naltrexone.
Naltrexone's been around since the 60s. It was FDA approved in 1985, originally in a pill form for opioid abuse, and what it does is it blocks the receptors in the brain that the same receptors that opioids attach to give you that high. So it actually has a stronger affinity for those receptors. So as long as you have therapeutic levels of naltrexone in your system, you can't overdose and you can't get high, as long as you have therapeutic levels.
People know it by the name Narcan, right?
No, Narcan is naloxone, and that's a cousin of naltrexone. Okay. That's a shorter acting. That's the antidote. If someone's overdosed, they inject them or give them the nasal spray. They wake up from the dead, literally. They're not very happy about it, but that's what you're hearing a lot about right now with, first responders, even librarians now carrying Narcan around. The problem's so widespread.
Brady, where is this problem, and how does a company like yours reach it? It used to be in the 80s and 90s that a lot of our core drug problems were in inner cities, and now we're seeing it more in rural areas. And to tell us about how you're getting out to people who are suffering.
Yeah, good question. I mean, the problem with addiction treatment is it's hard to get treatment. You have to go to the coast, Florida, Southern California, these high-end places, and it's not readily accessible. I mean, what really needs to happen is addiction treatment needs to start in the ER. Because what happens is when an addict is ready for treatment, and if they can't get access right now, you lose them. This is unlike any other disease process where people seek treatment and do anything to get treated. If you have cancer, you're going to do everything in your power to get treated. Right. But addiction, you have these windows of opportunity sometimes, and if you can't get immediate treatment, that's a problem, and then you lose them, and I've seen it happen a million times.
I mean, you're a nurse. You've seen this up front, and so you've actually lost people.
No, I haven't. Well, not personally, my family, but yes, I worked in the ER too many years ago, and naltrexone was around back then, and I'd never heard of it because it was no one promoted it. It was a generic drug, and it was people were non-compliant in the pill form. Cut to sustained release naltrexone products, and that is going to be, in my opinion, the holy grail of addiction treatment in the future.
Wow.
Two things. This is something that strikes close to me. I had a nephew who died from one of these overdoses, and frankly, people look at addiction all wrong, in my opinion. They basically have an image in their mind. This was a grade A government-inspected, incredible kid, and he started with a bad knee, and prescription drugs, they pave a pathway to a lot of addictions. He was oversubscribed, and the question is, overprescribed, what can we do as a nation behind Christie and others to save these fabulous kids who are getting addicted and therefore overdosing on these kind of...
Yeah, I'd love the opportunity to meet with those individuals and talk about those issues. I mean, treatment's one end. We're on the treatment end, but we have to stop we have to put ourselves out of business. Our mission should be to put
Before
ourselves
getting
out of
that
business.
point, yeah.
And that's education with the youth. There's great organizations such as Natural High that are educating kids in school about natural highs.
I just want to add one thing, though. The fallout from this is that people who really need opioids, particularly cancer patients, it has become incredibly difficult to get them. People have to jump through hoops who need the pain management.
Yeah.
And
They
the
can't have access
doctors,
to it. They don't
and
have
the
access.
doctor, you can have access, but these are people who are in chronic, debilitating pain,
Agreed.
and they can't get their
a
hands
tug of
on
war.
drugs.
I mean-
And they withhold the drugs as well. Doctors withhold opioids from
Well, they're
cancer
scared.
patients.
They're scared. They're being they're villains now for being a part of the problem, and now
Wow.
it's a challenge.
It is a challenge, and it is an epidemic. Brady, thank you so much for talking about it this morning with us.